gods made heavy metal and they saw that it was true, sang Manowar at the time. But no, today we are not talking about Manowar, nor we're talking about classic heavy metal, but we're talking about some mediocre stuff and even worse. Well, there might be some better ones, but who knows at this point anyway. Now we'll start with Evil Nerfal from Colombia with Bellum est pater omnium. Very ominous title, but unfortunately this one is a big disappointment. Probably one of the worst albums I've actually heard this year. This is one of those bands that doesn't exactly know whether they're playing black metal, death metal, or some kind of bizarre Greek evil metal. And they're combining very stupid ideas with their mediocre output. That is, stupid riffs, some really mediocre songwriting, composing, whatever, and the rest is just like waste of my mother time. Now, Evil Nerfal is kinda a schoolbook example how to not do a black or any kind of extreme metal albums. I mean, there are no single good riffs on this album. At best, it's kind of a mediocre, and you're like, okay, this is maybe getting there. And at worst, you're just like face palming, like, oh man, why I'm listening to this? This is not good. The production, rolling vocals or shrieky vocals, whatever they might be, they're not exactly something like, okay, at least I can find some good points on this album. The intro, then again, and the outro, then again, are rather good, but probably taken from something. At least they sound very familiar with the kind of classic soundtrackish stuff, but this album as a whole is like, don't waste your time on that. Weird name for a weird band, which is not good. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Very brief review in that sense, but there's only so much I can say about that. One of the worst albums of the year. Now, next one is Inhibitions from Greece, a Greek band that is, and very cool cover by the band's by the album La Danse, Macabre, and here's a booklet. Obviously, a very plain, simple design. You can read the lyrics here and get to the feeling of this black death band. And well, the thing is that as nicely as it looks, or as nice, the music here is really, really mediocre. When you can pretty much figure it out from the track list. Well, 10 tracks, of which the Satyricon cover track is the only, well, decent one. I'm not gonna say it's one really good one because it's not on the level of a Satyricon, and it's not definitely Satyricon's better tracks, but at least it's something decent. And the rest is just something that you can easily forget. It's not very memorable, it's not very interesting, it's just something like really mediocre. Like something that doesn't really annoy you, but doesn't please you, and doesn't leave you with strong memories. You're like, okay, whatever, next. And I don't know, relatively new band, maybe they will step up there and something will happen, but not with this particular CD. The disc number 3 today is a little bit different. It's from a band called Excommunicated. Excommunicated. I don't know how to say it. This one is from the United States, and it's their second album called Devout. And this is a tricky case. I mean, first of all, this band is relatively new. There are no lyrics, by the way. I'm gonna explain you in a bit why. And this is the second album, and the band hasn't been there for that long exactly, which makes it more peculiar. Let's take the backside of the CD again. See the bands here. Yes, after intro, it's Morgoth Song, Grave Song, Cannibal Corpse, Cemetery, etc. There are tracks by Napalm Death, Obituary, D-Side, Balfour, Morbid Angel, and so forth. And then the overlengthy outro, which is like 11 minutes full of random ideas. This is some weird idea. If you remember Chris Barnes and 6 Feet Under doing those graveyard classics, that is covering AC/DC and whatnot the death metal way. Well, this is kind of the same, except that they are not, or Excommunicated is not covering AC/DC, but death metal bands. Yes, you heard that right. 1990s, very classic death metal bands. Or even Crantastic if we go a little bit on the Napalm Death side. But the basic idea, doing D-Side, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse and whatnot. Which makes no sense at all, given that this is very new band. they should be writing their own material, but instead they are releasing a CD with too many tracks even, creating death metal versions of classic death metal songs which are not on the par of the original ones. Very tricky to review this in a sense that the original tracks are quite good, yeah, so in a sense it's kind of a good album because the songs are good. But since these are not on the level of the original ones, it makes me wonder who the hell would like to listen to this, or at least buy this one. I mean, you could listen to them once, like figuring out, okay, these guys are, covering Bolt Thrower, but they are not doing it as good as the original band, or the Eastside Cannibal Corpse, or whatever. And you're like, there's no reason for this CD, or whatever format it is, to exist. I mean, they might be just trapped on a some collection or as a bonus tracks on some full-length album, but have a full album full of cover songs of death metal by a death metal band makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I'd rather any given moment listen to original Morbid Angel or D-side tracks rather than hear the cover versions on this kind of album. Like, this is weird idea, makes no sense. It's not bad musically, but it's totally useless release. I don't know why the label actually wanted to do that, but hey, I'm not a label guy, I just, review stuff. So, let's move on to the number 4. This is called Demonic Obedience, Fatalistic Uprisal of Abhorrent Creation. What a title! Sounds like death metal, and that's exactly what this is. Very fast-paced, it's actually death black by definition, but let's be honest, musically this is more death metal than black death hybrid. All the riffs, basically all the production, growling vocals, all that stuff is just, like your textbook sample of how to do fast-paced death metal with some black metal ingredients. Now, there are bands which just, do this stuff fantastically. They do great work and, have great design in the band, creating great riffs and all that stuff. But this band, which by the way moved from Greece to Scotland a few years ago, is not exactly the kind of a band that kind of reinvents the whole death black idea. This is their third album in only like 4 or 6 years, something like that. And to be honest, it seems like this band hasn't evolved that much. I don't know, I haven't heard the previous ones, but I would expect a lot better from the third album. This is something that is really mediocre, very easy to listen to, and for a while it can be kind of enjoyable. Until you figure out that you've heard the same stuff a million times before, done way better, and more interesting compositions, better production, and all that stuff. This is not bad per se, but it's something like, why would I go back to this one? Because it's not really interesting. There's no single track that kind of gets me hooked or gets me like, hey, I want to just share the link to my friends on social media or whatever. This is just something like, okay, 33 minutes, one round, another 33 minutes, second round, and you're like, man, this is going nowhere. I could just listen to it 10 times and feel as kind of stupid as after the first track. It's like, yeah, this is basically alright. It's like a demo recording. It's not bad, but is there anybody I can actually recommend this to? Probably not you anyway. I don't know. These kind of bands, we kind of need them, and then again, we don't know. It's a peculiar thing, kind of a paradox. Well, whatever. And the last band of today's Indie 5 is from Italy. It's death metal, and it's called, for some reason, Godless Enthropia with an H. And here is their debut album called Tetracyclic Dominion. Doesn't look like exactly a typical death metal cover, but, well, this ain't no typical death metal band in the first place. You can pretty much figure it from the colors, design, booklet, just everything doesn't really indicate any kind of this. To be honest, I didn't expect sort of a death metal release in the first place. And there are lots of reasons for that, but mainly because of what this name rings, how this name rings a bell, and how does this CD look like. So what is then? Well, it's a kind of a progressive death metal debut from Italy, and well, how to put it nicely? Like, let's say having a good progressive death metal band takes a lot of skill, talent, dedication, understanding of the genre, I wouldn't say go as far to say luck, but it probably needs some money or at least good connection so you get a real good studio and maybe a producer, and then you have all this ideas, elements, and whatnot, and lots of time, obviously, because you want to hone it to the very top in order to just let your skill show and with good sound, and so that every possible component in the album is just, brilliant. Now, usually bands have what it's called skill. They can play, they can just do whatever they want with the instruments, and as such, they are kind of qualified to do technical or progressive stuff. Talent, maybe, yeah. To a certain extent, time, so that they can actually, hone those songs in the sense that they can actually go to the studio and play them. But money, producer, or those connections or understanding, not so much. And this is a typical kind of example why this is actually lacking that. I could say pretty much the same. It's as easy to do that, or it's as easy to get as like a kind of model wife or husband or whatever. I mean, you might have it if you have all the skill, talent, connections, money, whatever. But if you don't, well, good luck with all that. But the problem with Godless Enthropia's music is this. Well, they are skilled, cool enough, but the understanding of the genre might not be on the top level. And first of the reason is this. It's a more than 59 minutes of music in one CD. And, well, people who usually like technical music, at least I can talk on my behalf, but I mean, like, usually you need top-notch songwriting, top-notch, compositions and riffs and ideas, so that it's really, really nice to listen to that technical stuff, which so often turns into sort of a nonsense. Now, even with brilliant bands such as Death or Origin, they don't do 60 minutes albums with that technical stuff because it's not really that easy to make those compositions, which are also progressive and technical at the same time, as well as having those grooviness and the kind of catchiness that these bands need. Godless Enthropia has the skill to do technical stuff, but they don't have the understanding how to do them so that they are captivating. They are like, wow, interesting, this is so cool, full of details, and still the kind of a grooviness and flow with which basically every song needs in a way. Now, these songs, in my opinion, don't have a flow at all. They are more of a kind of a show-off type of instrumentalship or musicianship, which then just turns into a like uber lengthy demo regarding like, look guys, I know how we're doing. It's like, mom, I can try, ride my bike without my hands, and crash. It's so much about, hey, we can play this technical stuff. But no, you cannot really make it interesting, not with these songs. So it's a really lengthy version of a boring demo, basically. Not to mention the production is quite weak. The growling vocals are not really cool. It's not like the growler is very talented. It's like, wow, man, I could just, listen for hours, these guys to growl and spit out the vocals and all that stuff. It's more like, yeah, you're really mediocre. Thank you for participating. And the production, I mean, just every sound piece that there is like, yeah, decent for a demo recording, but full-length progressive death metal album, it's like, man, get the hell out of here. It's not like these songs are utter crap. I mean, they are something you can just listen for a couple of times, but to be honest, I love when technical death metal or any kind of metal is really well made. It's full of interesting riffs, details, nuances, flow, grooviness is all intertwined into one big ball of interesting stuff. But this is like the opposite of it. It's like, yeah, you guys are talented, but the songs are not good. So to me, it seems like these guys left half-baked bread out, took the half-baked bread out of the oven and failed to do it very interesting, much like this video, I guess. I mean, like, well, I'm not gonna sell anything with this video, but these guys probably want to get some gigs or at least get a new album out sometimes later on, but this is not helping. I cannot really recommend this to anybody except those who are really curious about how some bands claim to be next level or whatever, a progressive death metal. Unless you're a really big fan of that, just don't go there. And curiously enough, this particular album took half the length of this whole video. Sorry for that, I just sometimes get too much carried away. But anyhow, here's our Indie 5 with 5 not so interesting releases this time. All from the same label, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Hope you enjoyed some of them and proved me wrong and said, Jerry, you don't know shit about good albums. I truly hope so. For me, none of these were a big deal. So maybe next time we have actually some good ones. This was a mediocre show of mediocre albums. Rauta out. See you soon. Bye bye.